Usuario de Zoom a person? I do not know. Okay. Click on it.
Hello. You're so quiet, I didn't know. Thank you. What's going on there?
Lori, do you want to go ahead and should we get started?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the CAC meeting here tonight. We welcome all of you. We've got some people in the room, but a lot of people in the Zoom rooms. So I'm going to turn it over to Lori so she can go over the introductions.
Hi there,
Oh,
everybody.
First, Lori, we're going to have Francisco talk about the translation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Francisco Picado from Nwca Cac Eqc Mtg. For those of you who have not gotten a chance to use the interpretation channel, please click on the globe on the bottom right of your screen and select the language of your choice. Buenas tardes a todos. Para aquellos que no han tenido la oportunidad de usar el canal de interpretación para escuchar la interpretación de la reunión, si pueden por favor seleccionar el globito en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla y seleccionar y escoger el idioma de su preferencia. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Francisco.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori.
Thank you, Francisco. Hi, everybody. I'm Lori with the Community Engagement at National Western Center, and thank you all for attending in person or virtual. I just wanted to everybody in person, if you guys could sign in, that would be amazing. But also, if you are virtually, if we could go around and just introduce ourselves and who we're representing, that would be great for attendance reasons.
Can everybody hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can we go ahead
Right,
and
so
start
we're-
off with Carrie? That's who I see in the first box.
Sure. Hi, Carrie Black, representing Global Civic Partners. Nice to see you all.
All right, and I think it's Milo.
Yeah, Milo with Glowville First, representing Glowville First.
Awesome. All right, Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee. I live in Swansea, so just curious about what's going on.
Thanks. Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina. Let me put my camera on. I'm Christina. I'm with the Global Rec Center and with Birdsea Collective.
Thank you. Armando?
Elena, see if you can help me get audio.
You're
We
here.
can
on.
hear, we can hear you, Armando.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Armando, we can hear you.
I
Yep,
don't know if you can hear us.
Huh?
I don't know if you can hear us. I don't think so.
Maybe let's come back to him.
okay. If we could mute him, I'm not able to. Okay, Kristen?
Kristen Lang with Nwca.
All right, Rick, I've got you on the next box.
Yeah, I'm Rick from Partner Colorado Credit Union.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Nola? Oh, nice to have you here.
Hi, good evening. I'm Nola Miguel with the GS Coalition and Tierra Colectiva Community Land Trust.
All right, and I've got Laura.
Laura Walsh, representing the Colorado equestrian community.
Okay, thank you. And then Angela?
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Garcia. First, I'm always a Global resident. Secondarily, I'm with the CIF if anybody needs any information, and I can provide it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I have Sarah.
Hi, are we doing introductions? I just joined.
Yes, yes. Yep.
Hi. Hi, Sarah DePietro with Nwca.
Thank you. All right, Marcy.
Hi, I'm Marcy Loughran with the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center.
All right, and then I have Usario.
Yeah. I don't think that's a person, right?
Okay. And then let me see.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi there.
sorry.
Hi, Usario.
Soy María Alcalá, soy de la comunidad.
Gracias,
Hola, María.
Susan. Let's go back to Armando.
Okay, Armando. All right.
And that was Maria Caban, by the way. She said she's a member of the community.
Thank you. Okay, let's go around the table. Steve, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. Steve Natalie, Chief Real Estate Officer at the National Western Center Authority.
Hi, I'm Carol Reese, and I am a Swansea resident and a member of GS Coalition.
Jennifer Winkle, I live in Swansea.
Catherine Archuleta, and I'm your facilitator.
Eduardo Rosales, I work for CSU Spur.
Mike Bouchard, Mayor's Office of the National Western Center.
Jenna Garcia, Authority.
Alexi Palazari with the Authority.
Rodrigo with the Authority.
And then there were a few more online.
Yes, I see, Tasia.
Hi, it's Tasia and Kelvin, community members.
Thank you. Claudia?
Hi, this is Claudia with Focus Points.
Thank you.
Thank you. Becca?
Hi, Becca, Globeville resident. I'm with Globeville First.
Thank you.
And AE is on the line but doesn't have audio, is that right? Or do you have audio?
Lori, can you hear me? This is
I
AE.
can.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's been fixed then. Hi, everybody. This is AE over in the neighborhoods.
Hi there. Thank you. Perfect. And I think we got everyone. If we have not, if you could just introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hey. I think we can pull up our next slide.
Perfect.
Thank you. So
There's a major delay.
Yeah. So, we've done our first, couple of items, or at least one and a half. Our agenda for this afternoon is, the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center, a report from Michael. CSU Spur Eduardo is going to report, about the activities at CSU Spur, and Steve Nally is gonna update us on the Equestrian Center and the Hotel Task Force. Lori is going to update us on, the activities and, the National Western Center Community Update. And then we'll have a community update and then opportunity for public comment. So with that, I'd like to just remind everybody of our values. How we work together, and this was the values that were established by the CAC, that we do respect and trust one another, and that we're open, and that openness and transparency are critical to us. We encourage others to share. We inspire one another, but we're also open to new ideas because all of our voices matter. And we understand that the community has many faces and many realities each day. And excuse me, that we strive for partnership through collaboration and cooperation. Reaching consensus, this is an opportunity for us when we have a vote on a decision that may be needed, and we try to do this by listening to one another, making sure that we've seen and heard all comments about any proposal, and that everybody has the opportunity not only to say their support, but also any reservations they may have. And then we try to always reach consensus to make sure that as we move forward, we're hearing all voices and we're making decisions together. So we use a consensus decision model here. So, moving along. Is that the one we wanted to do first?
Think we'll do those updates.
Yeah, new goals and updates.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Would it be helpful to have some slides of these to show if there's progress? I'm realizing now that we typically don't, but if that's beneficial, we're more than happy to do that.
It's always helpful.
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
We can
Mike.
do that for the next time.
Okay.
In terms of what we are working on phases 1 and 2, we had a fantastic opening for the public art from the riverfront and a dedication of the art on 51st Avenue Bridge as well. It was 2 weeks ago now on Saturday. Good turnout, great event, led by the public art team with Denver Arts and Venues. All the artists were there, and it was just a really, really good event, and it ties into some other things that I'm sure Laura will be talking about. So just a quick update there. We are continuing with our design of the pedestrian bridge and getting very close to putting that out to bid so that we can get a contractor on board to start construction of that either late this year or likely early next year. We are working very hard on the livestock center, of course, wrapping that up this fall with a tentative sort of ribbon cutting opening of that building sometime in November, December. Some more details to come there soon. I'll let Steve give the equestrian update since that's on the docket here later. And I will just close with a quick update on Triangle. As hopefully everyone knows, we had some really great input and guidance from our community outreach work group that is informing how we're going about our outreach and engagement strategy for the Triangle Vision Plan. And we're doing our internal work to kind of figure out how to take those ideas, those recommendations, and build them into a plan we can actually implement. And so look forward to, if not next month, then certainly in August of, if it's appropriate, bringing a more thorough update of what that planning process looks like to CAC at that point.
Thank you.
I also want to note that last time we talked about having Chris Callanan give an update on the bond sidewalk projects from 2017. He was unable to join tonight, but could I request that we get him officially on the agenda for next month? And we can get him lined up to give a report out Like I said, there's been a lot of questions from folks in the community, where are those dollars, where are they going, have they been implemented, status. So he was chasing down that information internally and can report out at the next meeting. And then the final piece, and I'll pass it over to Marcy to give any updates from our GES program of projects coordination work that we are doing. Marcy?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Well, as some of you may know, today was Bike to Work Day, and Mayor's Office of the National Western Center and our partners at Dottie hosted a bike station. We had over 150 people stop by our station. So that was really exciting. Lots were interested in sort of the bike detour, but also in the GES Safer Streets program. So I think that was a great touch point for that group to connect with the GES Safer Streets folks. There'll be more coming out in an e-blast. I think it's actually coming out tomorrow, so I'm gonna maybe steal some of that thunder, but there'll be some updates in there as well. But let me just run through a few that we have on our list, which is the Swansea Rec Center. The construction is still underway and on track for the pool. That is due to be complete next summer, so a little bit of a bummer that it's not ready right now, but that's okay. Also, the Dottie and Levy work, which is over by the 48th Avenue outfall, that road work continues. You'll see some Excel work and some one-lane closures over on 46th Avenue near the South Platte River Bridge. Those will continue through the end of June, but they are flagging the traffic, two-way traffic through on there. The trail access, the adjacent trail near there is currently closed, but the detour is expected to reopen here in the fall, and it seemed to work really well. People were able to navigate and get to that bike station as well, so I think that's great. The work over on 51st Avenue, 51st Avenue, that alignment over to 52nd. Excel is continuing some of their boring work over there in anticipation of some major construction that will begin in the fall. Heron Pond is pretty self-contained, but that work continues. The mountain bike track is now complete, so that's pretty exciting. Can't see it because it's fenced off, but they are still anticipating that project to be complete and open in the summer of 2026. Let the e-blast and the GES Safer Streets kind of tell more of their story in some of the meetings that they have upcoming. They're going to be at the Huerta Urbana Farmers Market on June, I think it's past June 20, but June 27th, so that's Friday. They will also be there on July 11th and 18th. Again, we can get these out too, so you don't have to be writing out any of these dates. And I think the last update I wanted to make sure to hit on is the Washington Street project. Dottie has posted that project for advertisement for a general contractor to come in and do that work. So that bidding is underway. That closing date is right now scheduled for July 2nd, so they can get that contractor on board, and then hopefully getting that notice to proceed and the construction start later this year. And we'll want to stay in close coordination, connection, and make sure that we continue to get as much information out about the work that is happening on Washington Street to the community, and manage those detours and reroutes appropriately. I think those are the big ticket updates. If you are not signed up for the newsletter that comes out typically from Chris Callanan and the Dottie group, please drop your name in the chat or send me an email and I'll make sure to sign you all up. That'll be a great source for updates as we move forward. Any questions?
Thank you, Marcy.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I will send out a invitation for you all if you want to add slides, and I'll make sure that Chris is on the agenda for next month.
Thanks, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's turn it over to Eduardo.
Yeah, my stuff is super quick. Yesterday we did our third movie night with Ellsbury Library, CSU Spur. It was awesome. There were a bunch of people. So if you were there, thank you for being there. It was a great time. We had some hamburgers, and ice cream. watching kids run around after like their fifth cup of ice cream it never gets old. Anyway, tomorrow, I'm off, but then Friday we're doing the Salud Conscientious cooking class at Spur. We already have we've sold out pretty quickly, but that's the usual cooking class that we do every-ish month. And it's all free for all the community members, same as the movie night. And then this Saturday, we're going to Bercy Collective to party with them at their concert series, which I'm sure Christina will talk more about later. That's it.
Any questions? Okay, we'll turn it over to Steve. For any questions?
Was there a question?
Was there a question?
I think that was Lori.
I was Lori, Equestrian Center and Hotel update.
Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Steve Alley. I'll be brief. So on the Equestrian Center, hotel, housing, community building, parking garage project, since we last met, City Council approved the project support agreement on June 2nd. As a reminder, the project support agreement is the document that provides the agreement that provides funding to finalize the design of the project and fund construction of the project. It also requires community benefits. We are now shifting back and picking back up the pen to continue design. We've progressed design. You guys have seen some renderings. We stopped design to work through this project support agreement. We're picking the pen back up to finalize design. We will be working to fit the project into the now defined funding envelope, right? So there is a number that we cannot exceed per the project support agreement. So we have to get the project into that envelope. We will also be working with this group where we'll roll up our sleeves and discuss and seek input from community members around adding specificity to the community benefits that were in the project support agreement. So some of those were fairly vague, like promotion of small businesses to hotel guests. What exactly does that mean? What's the best way to go about doing that? Is that a pamphlet in a hotel room, or you're like, these are the local businesses that I could go visit? That could be one example that we've heard, but there are others. There are other somewhat vague community benefits in there that need more definition. How we ramp up to construction jobs, how we create training programs for hotel operations. So there's quite a bit more work to do as we over the next probably 6 months or so. As we finalize the deal. So I don't have much more to add on the project tonight, but there's certainly more to come as we step through the next several months.
Any questions for Steve? Comments?
Sure. I have a question, Steve. On the discussion on how to support small businesses, do you have a month in mind that might come up on the agenda?
That's a good question. I don't know yet, but I think we can communicate out via email and say, this is when we're anticipating having this conversation. We would want to bring the hotel operator into the meeting. I don't have a specific month
Okay.
yet. I haven't scheduled.
No, I understand that. I just thought I'd ask.
Yep.
I work with small businesses in one of the organizations I work in, so.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Other questions or comments?
Yeah, can you hear me? This is Ann Elizabeth.
Yes.
Yes.
So you, Steve, when you mentioned bringing the hotel operator into the discussion, the holistic team, the community activation project team, is where is the center of contact with the team as a whole? Because you're talking about just the hotel conversation, but where are the entry points for the enjoyment of creative exchange with the project as a whole? Can you address that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the team, the CAP team, Community Activation Partners, is the name of the development team, is led by Bengate. You all have met, several of you have met Bianca Steer. Bianca is the main point of contact for the entire development team. Bianca was not able to make it tonight, but she does regularly attend these meetings and will continue to do that. My point on the hotel operator is that we would specifically want the hotel operator in the meeting in addition to Bianca with Wingate, because the promotion of local businesses, while that is something that we as the authority seek to do more of, this is specifically required of the hotel for hotel guests. So that's why I mentioned that we would certainly want, and Sage is the anticipated hotel operator. That we would certainly want to make sure they're here at that meeting for that conversation.
So I appreciate that. I appreciate that detail, and I just want to make sure that people understand. I'm asking that question just for us all to remember and stay aware of how dynamic this project is, and that there's lots of facets of discussing how it interfaces with the neighborhoods and the various accountabilities of the project and that kind of thing. It could be very creative. So appreciate the detail, Steve.
Thank you, AE.
The other point I would make around Bianca and Fingate is that we hired a kind of lead developer to manage her team, so that it's not confusing for all of us and who we're actually working with. We are working directly with Bianca, and Bianca is expected to manage her teams. From an expertise perspective, we will bring in others from her team, architects, designers, hotel operator, etc.
When you say we, you mean the National Western Center Authority? Hired
Yes,
a staff person?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you mean the National Western Center Authority when you say we hired a person, a project manager?
Yeah, that's correct. The procurement that the authority led to hire the developer, we intended to have a lead developer, and that's who Bianca is.
So I'm gonna move on to Nola. Nola has a comment in the chat that says, is there a separate line item for the housing, or is now the time to ask about that?
We do not have a separate agenda item for housing. It's certainly part of the overall project. So if you've got a question about it, we'll certainly talk more about it when we pick the pen back up. We haven't actually started designing the housing, so there's more discussion to have about that, but if you have a question tonight, Nola?
I mean, Steve, I think it's just been super vague what that housing is going to be, what the affordability levels are going to be. I mean, you all have said workforce housing, which has a very specific definition of 80 to 120% AMI, which really doesn't address displacement or, existing neighbors in GES wouldn't really be able to live there. So I'm just wondering if how is this process going to work? Are you guys going to select a developer? When are those AMI levels going to be determined? How can we participate in that process? And when?
Yeah, so from a developer perspective, we already procured a developer, right? We procured this development team that can deliver the housing. From an operations perspective, we are still working through exactly how that's operated and who the operator is, but we've also anticipate that our team can find an operator that we procured. Sarah, do you want to, if you can hear us, I think you may have been driving, or Mike, do you guys want to talk about some of the process around informing the AMI levels and what that looks like and how this team can provide input into it?
Yeah, so we're working very closely right now with Host to do that initial assessment. We've said, and you're right, has been vague to date. We've said workforce housing, we've said, 60 to 100%, but we're taking those next steps with a housing study, working with Host internally at a policy level to identify what we think that range really is and putting some data behind it. So we're doing that internal homework and should be able to report back out at some point, probably in a month or two, on the direction that that information is sending this particular housing, component. So we're doing our homework. And go ahead, please.
I think we owe you guys at the next CAC meeting, just a kind of schedule of, to your point, you know, when are we talking about? You know, we're so focused on this project support agreement and we are picking the pen back up and we're beginning to work again. I think we owe you guys kind of what do the next 6 months look like at these meetings? And what are the topics we want to cover? And housing needs to be one of them.
Ask questions now or later?
Well, you can ask
Okay.
questions.
Can you let me know, what does the housing study entail? What does that about?
I think NOLA may actually have a good example of what was done on the project over in Washington. It's similar. They look at the neighborhood and the need and they make recommendations. We're working, as I said, with host internally to kind of identify, since this will be a city-led project, city-funded project, to make sure that that's in alignment with their policy goals and what the mayor is thinking when he's looking at the affordable housing challenge. So there's a lot of kind of internal work that we're doing to make sure that the city is aligned with what we think this should be. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, is it possible to add an anti-displacement piece into that?
I can ask that question.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
And I would just add, if I don't know if there's a way to kind of reframe a little bit the way that you said there'll be a study from the city and then you'll report out. Is there a time when like we get to chime in or participate in this process at all, or you're just reporting to us and that's it? Like those decisions are made? Because with all projects in GES, we're able to interact with the developer, you know, talk through what that development looks like, talk through all the lessons, you know. The host comes to us often for advice and, you know, working with developers and meeting community needs. So I'm just wondering, like, we have a task force for an equestrian center, but we don't have a task force for the housing. So I'm just kind of wondering when that's going to happen.
Yeah, and the task force is intended to be for the whole project. And I know there are many components to the project, including community building and a hotel and parking garage. And, but it's not just about the arena, you know, and the stables. And this is a little different in that it's a city-funded project where you kind of are the developer, right? And we are seeking your input on, you know, what this project can address and what it should solve for. So I don't want you to not provide input because you think this is just a one-way conversation. This needs to be a two-way conversation, and we need to have this very discussion. So if you have something to add and some guidance.
Well, and I think there was some guidance there that they don't just come and report out saying this is what it's going to be. Bring hosts, right, and have a conversation. So yeah, no, that clearly, we hear you. I'm being maybe a little vague because we're still trying to figure out on our side, get the study done and have these conversations with hosts. So nothing's presupposed at this point. And I think, Steve, to your point about having a schedule of this is when, here's the topics that we're going to be bringing over the next 6 months. So that everyone in the community knows when specific things are going to be on the agenda.
Right.
And we owe you that. So we can bring that in at the next meeting.
Yeah, and we also, sorry, go ahead.
I just had one comment on that. I would argue that this is exactly what we talk about with community engagement, where you guys are saying you're going to have your own internal process to discuss what you think are the AMI standards and what you think should be put in, and then you're going to come back and discuss it with me. I think this is exactly what we're trying to get at when we talk about actual community involvement, in that I don't know why that's an internal process. And I don't understand why we can't be there for that, to talk about it with you, that you need an internal process first before you even come and talk to us as a community. So I understand, and I've heard that the triangle is gonna be different, and I really hope it will be, but I also invite you to start here. If you wanna come to the next meeting prepared to like really discuss and talk about this, I think that would be great. Just outline what guidelines there are, but then also be prepared for actual feedback and how we can actually be involved in that.
Thank you, Lee.
I was gonna say one
Yeah.
thing, and so previously we had the task force as separate from the CAC because we had a lot to discuss in the task force. The past several months have been a little light because we stopped design and we were focusing on project support agreement. We can split those back out. I think it's convenient to have, one meeting a month here as opposed to two separate meetings. But there's a lot to talk about on the project. And there's also a lot to talk about at the CAC. So that's also something we're open to feedback on. If we need to split those back into separate efforts, we're happy to do that.
That would make sense, I think.
Who's on the task force?
So the task force is open to the public. It's people that are interested in dedicating their time to the project. But it's not a closed invite by any means. We held a series of public meetings where we sent a mailer to every household and try to generate a bunch of interest and communicate out. We did this 4 different times, try to come to a meeting and say, if you're interested, we're gonna set up this task force, please sign up. Please get engaged, if you want to dedicate your time to this project. And we had people sign up and started meeting as a task force. So
it's community
members, there are also, like Laura Walsh, for example, is also a community member, but her focus is very much on Colorado equestrian. That has not really been much of the discussion in that the actual arena and the footing and the, horse facilities have not been much of the discussion. It's been more about building the list of community benefits, a big focus on the community building itself, which will be free use for the community. But that's, if you'd like to be on the task force, sure. It's 100% open and tell others.
Yeah, how do we do that? Yeah, I never received, I know we talk about,
Yeah.
reached out and got texts and stuff. I haven't received anything about this and a bunch of other things, so I would love to take part in the task force.
Okay. You signed up on that?
Yes.
Okay, you're Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, we'll add you to the list.
Okay, thank you.
We also
and
have
it-
AE. Sorry, we also
Yeah,
have.
I see that. I see it.
Oh,
Thank you.
I don't know
Go
if you're
ahead.
calling on me yet or not, so,
Not yet, not
yeah,
yet.
I didn't think so.
Thank you.
Can I be on that task force?
Yeah.
So if your name is here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone that signed up on that sign-in sheet that does not want to be added to our task force? Maybe you can talk to me afterwards. We have people that signed up and it's just an email telling you when the meeting's gonna be and the agenda item, so.
Maybe, could I suggest that everybody's in this meeting, because we have people in the Zoom room.
Right.
And Lori, I think you were taking a list, you have the list of names of people in the Zoom room. We'll add those to this list here and send a notice out.
Thank you very much.
And there's stipends provided for attendance, but you're not committing in stone to anything, you're just coming to a meeting and providing input.
And this is specifically about the housing?
It's about the entire equestrian center project. But I think to our earlier point, we need to be clear on what we'll discuss at each meeting. And we need a dedicated housing meeting.
Okay, I was just gonna ask if it's possible to have a task force for housing.
I
can ask.
I'm not sure if it's necessary, we could talk about housing at every task force meeting, maybe have a couple of dedicated. I'm not sure if we have enough.
Okay.
We may meet a couple times, you know what I mean?
Okay.
The task force is really intended to live on, even through construction.
Right.
And to ramp up for job training in the hotel, because there's a whole, operation, once this thing's built, there's a whole operation side of it as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna go first to AE and then I will come back to the comments in the.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I feel like a good way to create entry points in the discussion for people would be to take the timeline you're talking about, which I completely agree with. That's somewhat topical. The task force, I participated as much as I could in the task force, but I feel like to have a well-rounded discussion where we can loop in and out with each other into the neighborhoods and where this can be a broader engagement, it would be very helpful to have that as sort of a spinal document, and then the things like housing and some of the other elements can be highlighted as entry points on the agenda for discussion, so we can be aware when those are happening on the timeline, like the housing and that kind of a thing. But I agree with you that we wouldn't need necessarily another task force on the housing. So I'd just like to suggest that be powered up with the intention of the task force becoming more accessible for people to know what's going on in that agenda. And then, does that make sense to you, Steve?
It does.
Okay, that was more a question of, can you hear me? I wasn't sure if I was coming through. And then the other thing I wanted to say is when you say that this is a Denver's development, Denver-led development, it's true this section of land is Denver's responsibility. I just feel like it's always important for us to embrace that this is a 3 capital partnered 270 acres, I believe, campus project, and that there are accountabilities and visions and hopes and aspirations and potentials that interweave in every molecule of this. And that's a more dynamic way to look at it rather than there's, I mean, I'm assuming Western Stock Show Association, the Stock Show and Colorado State University are engaged with the city of Denver in conversations around this section of it. Isn't that correct? The use of the equestrian center, the use of the hotel, all 3 partners are involved in the discussion, right? On the gap.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to put that concept concept out there as we develop the relationships and how all these things are resources for neighborhoods in some sense, basically.
Yep. Understood, and yes, I mean, all partners are involved, including the community. I was just making a point that the city is paying for it. As far as building it, differentiating from a private developer.
Okay, were you finished, AE? Yep, sounds like it.
Yes, thanks.
Thanks, AE. Lee has said in the chat room that she would like that the mailer said, make your voice heard. It did not say join our housing task force. And that she would also like to be on the task force.
Great.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, the mailer was to try to get people to come to a meeting and learn more. And we also were seeking feedback on whether or not we should have a task force. And I think the direction that those meetings was, it makes sense to have a focus group of interested individuals to come together and meet on this project.
Also, housing was not added until January timeframe, December, January, so.
I don't know about anyone else in this room, but, or like in your professional lives, but I generally don't show up to meetings that don't have an agenda or aren't specific. This is just in my work life. Like if someone puts a meeting on my calendar, it is expected that there's an agenda or something about what the meeting is about, not just your voice is needed. I generally decline those meetings. So yeah, anyway, but yes, you did send out a mail. So that is true.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
So we're all here right now. I'm Rachel Lehman and I work at the Greenhouse Connection Center. Also work at the Black Parents United Foundation, and I followed the invite and it told me to go over to the campus, the main campus on Marion. It didn't change the date, so I had to come back over here. So that's just a point of concern, but it's 5:47 now and this meeting is scheduled until 7. Why not just start thinking about brainstorming some concerns, like what do y'all think are the problems? What are the issues? What are the things that you wanna talk about? Let's just get it started. This is our task force right now, right here, because as Lee mentioned, we don't have time for this, guys. Nobody has time to be going to meetings and just like showing up to have pizza. So I'd rather be at home and I'd rather not be sweaty because it's really hot outside. So let's just get it going. Why are we waiting? What's the holdup?
Thank you for that feedback. We actually have an agenda for the rest of the night.
Okay.
Okay, so but I think everybody heard your feedback in getting this conversation started.
Okay.
Thank you. And that agenda is sent out. So everybody knows what the agenda is for the evening, so we're real careful about that. So any other comments? But thank you. Angela.
Thank you, Catherine. Lori, are you the person that they contact to get on the email list for the CAC? And could you put your contact information in the chat or
Yes,
provide it another way to the people who are in the room so that they can get signed up for that?
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. And why don't we you keep the sign-in sheet so we'd be sure.
Just on there.
Okay, good.
Yes, I'd like to know how we signed up. I didn't receive an agenda. I just know the meeting is
I
now.
can.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I don't know what that's referring to as we receive an agenda ahead of a meeting. I just know the meeting now, so I come.
Okay. So Lori, would you like to talk about that process?
Yeah, so I will start collecting with the sign-in sheets and the email list. A lot of the times I have a CAC address book that I send out the agenda and a reminder. I just recently started sending out the text platform, sending the meeting details on the text platform. So if you haven't signed up for the text platform or the newsletter, I would suggest that you do, but I will add your email addresses moving forward, as long as you're putting it on in the sign-in sheet, and I will make sure that I update that. I also did put thank you, Angela, for suggesting that. I put my name and my email. If you want to directly, if you're still not getting any kind of communication, you can reach out to me directly. At the end of of today's meeting, I also have some QR codes if you want to sign up or if you haven't signed up already to be on the communication. But thank you, and yeah, again, thank you, Angela, for suggesting that.
What is the newsletter?
What's that?
What is the newsletter?
Yeah, so I can send that out to you guys as well as a post meeting, but we have a community newsletter. We try to update as many like activations on campus as well as community partners, and when we have free tickets or just anything that we can collectively provide as a resource to the community. And at the end of the slideshow, if you are able to do a QR code and sign up, you'll get a monthly update of what's happening on campus, as well as the text platform is more when I have free community tickets, or if there's a reminder that needs to go out for We Don't Waste or this meeting, or if there's a resource that a community partner wants to share and they really need that to go out. And
Hey, Jenna, will you do chat room up so that everybody here can see the address? Sure. So it's lorita@nationalwestern.com, Accenture.com.
So you want us to email Lori to get on the?
Yeah, you're signed up, so you're already on.
Okay.
Okay, so but those of you.
I can't see.
Okay, so you're signed up over here, so you're good. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jenna. Any more comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Sandra?
Yes, I was gonna suggest that you separate both the CAP and the task, just so we can focus more on the projects. And the task, the housing and every project that we guys doing. And that way we can be more informed of everything that is happening. And also because I believe that we have to invite more residents of the 3 neighborhoods. And because it's important to have everyone's voice there. So if we can start doing that, I think we will be more focused on all the other parts, because having it here is like, you have already an agenda with a bunch of other, ¿cómo se dice?
Items.
Subjects, items, and so it will be great to have this one that is about all the projects that you guys do.
Yep.
Does anybody disagree with that suggestion? Sounds like there's agreement. Is that kind of a head nod from everybody? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, so, Mike and Steve, it sounds like there's a consensus that, people would like to have a separate meeting.
Great,
Okay,
we will work on getting that scheduled.
Thank you.
It will likely be a Wednesday, just not the fourth Wednesday.
okay. Lori, what about you?
Hi there, everyone. I just wanted to give some community events and outreach information. I guess I wanted to let people know that July 23rd from 5 to 7 is our next CAC meeting. Based off of this conversation, I will make sure that I am updating the address list with additional email addresses, as well as to make sure we have more information in the agenda, so you guys are familiar with what the topics are. Next month, I did want to have a section for us to talk about CAC policies, goals, and stipends. Since I started in December, we haven't really had that kind of refresh and going over what CAC is for and our goals, and just to talk about like stipend opportunities when attending these meetings. We also had an update of 943 tickets that have been given out in 2025. We have on campus the Unhinged and Punk in the Park that will be hosted on Stockyard Event Center, and we gave out over 100 tickets. So we're really excited that community members are able to come to campus and enjoy some live music. We were given, we have Denver Museum Nature and Science tickets that we have, and we are going to be mailing out some that we previously had, and as well as we'll be tabling at multiple events in the next few months, and just be making sure that we get those tickets out to the community members. We will be having our second Saturdays at the riverfront, and that's just a free campus day aligned with CSU Spur Second Saturdays campus activations. Next month, the theme is riverfront cleanup. So our goal is to have some individuals cleaning up the river and having some themed activations and events for that month. I will be sending out, if you guys know of any community partners that would like to table or just provide resources at these free campus days, I will send that information out, and please share that email. Our goal is to work with community members that provide activations and resources to our community, but as well for families to come, bring a blanket, bring their lunch, spend the afternoon listening to live music. So we would love to have you on campus on the second Saturday. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is, we have sponsored 16 events. If anybody has a GES, like community benefit, and they would like to provide a service that kind of aligns with supporting our community benefit, then you guys can always send me an email and tell me what ideas you have. Previously, we have sponsored a few of the rec centers for their Easter egg hunt. We are working on sponsoring CHUFO with their block party that's coming up on August 2nd. So you can reach out to me and we can talk about how we can support our community, our youth, our adults, people of all ages. We do have a very large event coming up for Denver Days. Our plan is to give out 5,000 backpacks and work with, right now we're at 63 activations, and all of those resources are for our families in GES, as well as being able to support the kids being ready to go to school, getting free haircuts. They're going to be having wagon rides and a lot of tabling, a lot of free resources and toiletries, as well as resources for the family. We Don't Waste will be doing a cooking demo. So I will be sending that information out. And our goal is to get our families to show up that day and really be able to support our community. If you're looking or your agency is looking to volunteer, I also have a link if you want to be part of that day and supporting kind of those activations. We would love to have your support. And then we can go to the next slide. Oh. AE, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, it's kind of related to the last slide, but it's quick. Lori, I understand the strategy of centralizing a lot of these interactions with the neighbors that have been going on in neighborhood groups over the years. And I just want to spotlight that that's part of what's happening here is the centralization of things like backpacks and the food and that kind of thing. I just want us to think it through as time goes on. But I did want to ask you if you could help us all understand how the finances are generated when you say you have 16 events totaling $10,275 sponsorship. Can you clarify where the funds are generated, where they are in line items in the authority budget? Help us understand the infrastructure of the financing and how to put that in context with everything else. Thanks.
No problem. So as for the background for the financing component, I would hate to go in depth and not have like the full detailed or say the wrong thing. So I can just state that when I started in December, there was an allocated amount of funds that I was able to distribute as funds that go towards that GES community collection. So
that's okay if you don't have the answer tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And Sandra, and these are details too that I think can be released through the budget transparency coming from the Authority Board of Directors. These are things that are really helpful for everyone to understand, all of us, including myself. I'd like to understand it better. So yeah, let's go ahead and open all this up and see.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, I really appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me not to have that answer right away. I just don't want to answer incorrectly. So did I answer that to the best that I could, AE?
Well, you're the one that knows that, but
Okay,
I do want to be very clear. I am not allowing you not to have the answer.
No,
I'm just saying, yeah, we want accurate information too, and it's something that is a long time coming, and so we'll consider this progress and look forward to the details.
Okay, thank you, AE. No, thank you. So I did want to give you an update on the We Don't Waste and the We Cycle that we provide, that we're able to partner with on the first Friday of the month. July, we are not hosting a We Don't Waste, We Don't Cycle, but we will be sending out a link if you know that families still need food and are still looking for resources. There are other spaces that you're able to go to, just not at our space in July. We've been able to serve 949 households. 79 of those households are from GS 80216. And we have served a total of 4,329 individuals. It's really important for us to kind of track this data so we can encourage and optimize being able to support more families in the 80216 in our community and our neighbors. We Don't Waste has been a great partner, and they will be working with us moving forward on kind of doing food demos, food education, and sustainability within our community at our second Saturdays, as well as August 2nd event.
Lori, Noah is asking if whether Birdseed and Focus Points also are doing backpacks and school supplies, or is it consolidated to August 2nd event?
Currently, they are part of the partnership with August 2nd. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing a second one, but I know that they are in partnership with us on the August 2nd Denver days.
Thank you.
We're only going to do a distribution with National Western. We as Birdseed are not having an additional distribution.
Thank you, Christina. Yes, as well as, and Claudia did mention, so Focus Points will be doing their distribution for their backpacks as well on the same day and the same time. So I can send that information out as well, Claudia. I think I do have that flyer and I can make sure that goes out. Just to share some, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to go over with the pictures. And so if you have a question,
No, go ahead.
So we had our art dedication. So Mike Bouchard and Marcy, they were, it was just such a great celebration and arts and venues. They had a blessing that started at the bridge, which was People's Bridge of the Sun. It was just a wonderful gathering. And it was just a really nice morning to start off and to hear the three artists speak about the art that they gave to the community. So I just had some, some small pictures for that, but it was beautiful. And if you were able to attend, I'm, so grateful that you were able to see all of that activation and to hear the artists speak about the art that they created. And then for the next slide, I wanted to share a few pictures. This was our first market, and I felt like it went really, really well. It was a very hot day, but we had a lot of community members that were participating as tabling. We had Latin All-Stars providing music. We had some home ownership resources that were provided, as well as we stuck with the theme of pollinators. They had a beehive, or they had the beekeeper kind of doing the demo for the kids. And we had a lot of just fun family time. And it was just a beautiful day. It was nice to see everybody walking around, enjoying themselves with their families.
Angela, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you, Catherine. Lori, do you know how many people from the 3 neighborhoods of Groville, Elyria, Swansea attended on that day?
I can't tell you exactly how many, but I know we had about 100 people. There were some faces that were very familiar, but our goal is to hopefully try to have a way of tracking who is attending, but it's really hard when it's vendors. We don't want them to, assume that we're going to try to collect names and information on that day. But I did see a lot of familiar faces, but I couldn't tell you how many.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so one of the things I wanted to kind of discuss is we did hear kind of the message about the People's Market, the name. And I really wanted you to know, I think it was Jennifer, you're there, is that correct?
Yeah,
I really
thank
did
you
want,
very much.
yeah, we really did talk about it, and there was no thought process into, naming it because of it was used prior. It was something that we came up to, we all came together and thought of that People's Market, but we really heard you and wanted you to know that we are, working on trying to get a new name, and just wanted to let you know that we heard you, and we really respect the fact that, these meetings, this is why we come together, is so we can have that open dialogue and communication. But it's just going to allow me to kind of, hand this off to Catherine, because let's have a discussion about like the name and how we move forward and what we can do to support kind of that collaboration.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So Jennifer, after your comments, as Lori described, the staff went back and said, okay, what are some other names that we could use so it's not confusing to community with other markets or events that use people's in the title. So there's some suggestions that came out just out of some brainstorming. One was the community with UN focus on unity, market at the center, commons market, Main Street market, and certainly there are others that could be, imagined. But we just thought that that might be an inspiration to think of something else that could be the title for this market, and wondering if you all have any strong feelings about a particular name that you see up there, or if there's another name that you'd like to suggest. And to include folks in the Zoom room as well.
Yes, so another thing that like really was off-putting coming on this campus, I've been on this campus many times, but the names are changed, the street names are changed. National Western, that wasn't a street name before, it's like, so it's like, let's just take over this area and let's not like honor the names that were here before. And the street names, I mean, that just seems like so colonizer-like. And I'm also thinking like, these are really basic names, like what about honoring some of the indigenous folks that were here? Some of the, maybe there's a hit, like the hero or somebody who did a lot of community work in this neighborhood that we could name this after and really make sure that we're tapping into the roots of the GES community.
Betty Cram Drive is named after Betty Cram, who was that person that was, involved for many years, and since passed away. You may have known Betty. I actually believe she worked in the stockyards. She worked in the livestock exchange building. So Betty Cram Drive is named after Betty. Packing House Road was the old kind of north-south street. It is now shifted up over closer to the river to open up the main plaza, and we consolidated rail to open all that area up and the riverfront. So it isn't it's a new street in a new location, and that is called National Western Drive. To honor the, National Western 120 years of history there. So just to clarify that, point well taken, and we wanted to do that for Betty Graham Drive as the main street of the campus. Good point also for what the market could be.
Any particular suggestions on what that might be, just kind of general?
I would just check with indigenous folks.
And the community, yeah, that could be a good community decision, or community input.
So
Yeah, I like that.
what we're trying to do is reach next month, because we promised we wouldn't have 2 months in a row with People's Market. And so we were trying to get feedback from you all on something a little bit quicker than a survey. It's sort of the role of the CAC. Again, it's up to you, but we also don't want to go forward with the next month's market called the People's Market.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for hearing that.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
So the issue with the People Market is because there's already a market called the People's Market, right? That's why they're changing it, yeah. And where is that happening? It's happened in GES, in our communities. In which neighborhood, on what days? Like if we wanted to participate on that market, would we contact to participate there if there's already one or like that? And because I never heard of it, and I live in the neighborhood.
Right.
And one of the things that I keep saying that we need to know everything about everything that's happening. Like I'm a resident and I want to know what's happening in Glover, what's happening in an area, what's happening in Swansea, because it's like we're very divided sometimes. So it will be a great way to also bring together the neighborhood, that if we know more about these events as a community. I don't know if the other residents know about this.
I just sent you the email that Lori sent out originally about the market.
Thank you very much, Madam. Yes, please, and that way we can all know about it and how we can participate on it. Is it open to participate also, like if I'm a vendor?
I think there's a cost, isn't there, Lori?
No, for the ones that you saying that you already have.
Not the one Lori's doing, but the one the other one that was, the reason, I think Jennifer, you had talked about there was another event.
Yes, we used the word people's people in a lot of the GES stuff, so it did seem like it was co-opting. And I understand now that it was accidental, it wasn't on purpose, and I appreciate that, and I really like the idea of it. So, thank you.
So,
I think the question is, the people's market that we're talking about, that is not what the National Western is doing, the other one that the National Western, which is the name of, when is it? Or is it just the word itself, that when you say the people's, it means something else that is not National Western?
Is that the one that was at the corner of Lincoln and 45th?
Yeah, and I'm not good at, like, I know, like, I go to that place and it's at that one place where that happens. So I can't tell you the dates. I could look it up.
I think Hamilton is running it. I don't remember his last name, but I haven't seen it start up again this year yet. But last year it was not very well attended and there weren't very many vendors. And there was a cost for vendors, but it was not very large. And it was really hot because it was in the Garden Place parking lot.
But there was another, it had another name, the one in Garden Place, they had one.
I thought his was called People's Market, but maybe not.
Oh, it did?
And that's connected to the person. I have no idea.
well, I think the intent, if I may, is that the National Western Center Authority doesn't want to cause any confusion in the community. So this is a willingness to change that and a desire to change that so that the community is, can distinguish between one event or another. And, so these were some of the names that came forward. Certainly there could be, there's nothing sacred about any of these names. It's just some brainstorming just to get our thinking caps going. So, if anybody has any other better idea, that's certainly open, for discussion. And, AE, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I very much endorse the discussion of the name and think that it goes deeper than not confusing events when similar names are being used. It did come up in the CAC meeting appropriately, so I think there was a good process of challenging it. But I want to stress that there's been a lot of discussion over the years about what is neighborhood ownership in when the original discussion of the market, which did not happen in the arena, there was a lot of discussion about sort of the vested economy of people within the neighborhoods and within all the neighborhoods in the city being able to have an economy in relationship to a market and local provisions and fresh food and all these kinds of things. And I think the discussion of the actual mechanisms of what this market is and what the relationships are is a deep discussion, and there's a lot of background to it, and it needs to be it's much more than selecting a name. I love name contests. I love them for zoo animals. I think it would be great to open it wide up, not agonize over the name as much as help people figure a relationship. Right now, it's a very conventional, this isn't necessarily a criticism, but this is a very conventional infrastructure where you have vendors signing up, and you can. It's really kind of different from the incubating local cottage business, crafting, bringing the economy of the interior neighborhoods in. And I know that takes time, but it's something that is a strategic plan and requires a depth of discussion and more relationships. So I just want to say that about the name. I don't want to get distracted. I also have roots in my life in People's Park back in Berkeley. So I know the revolutionary, quote unquote, revolutionary relationship between institutions and land use and how neighborhoods go through historic shifts to answer questions about how cities provide for each other. So in that regard, I think it's good to be very careful that we're doing something very deep when we name something using peoples, especially the possessive. So anyway, I just want to put those thoughts out because I haven't seen a real dynamic forward discussion of the depth of engagement in the market going forward. And it might be something to consider.
Sandra? I have a question for Lori. So I was gonna ask if for next year, is it gonna be the same date again with the second Saturday at CSU? I have to come and say thank you. So one is, because, it's like two totally different events. A lot of people that comes to CSU, they know it's a free event. There's a lot of giveaways, free giveaways and everything. And then we have a vendor market where there's vendors and they're expecting to sell stuff. But if most people already know about CSU and they know it's for free and everything, there's not gonna be a lot of sales, for the vendors. So he said, possibility for next year to separate them both. Just because I feel like it's like two totally different events in the same day. And also because CSU is already doing their events every second Saturday, people knows about it. Because I saw a lot of people going on the other side, just going to the campuses. And there was very few people coming to the vendor side. And well, vendors are there to sell. It was a good event, but this is not to criticize or anything, it's just to improve the market. Is the first time, so I think like just seeing that from that part and learning how we can improve it. And also, if we wanted to use a name, is it possible to have a Spanish name just because of the culture of these neighborhoods? That it can be algo like more that, como se dice, represents the community. Yeah, because we have the 73% of Spanish speakers in these three neighborhoods.
So a couple of suggestions that have come up. One, that we have more discussion about the name, but we still have that second Saturday coming up next month, and we don't want to use the People's Market again. That's what I heard. The second suggestion is a naming contest. That's what AE suggested, a naming contest. And the third suggestion is that we have, I think, two suggestions here that we recognize both we recognize the people of color communities that are a large portion of this community. Spanish speakers. So those are three suggestions that have come up. Is any other suggestions on way to approach this?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were also suggesting separating it from second Saturday.
Yes, so I'm gonna just start focus on the name first.
Sorry.
Yeah, because the dates are already set.
So Catherine, if I can elaborate just a little bit on a naming contest, there might, part of the opportunity behind that is for people to go into themselves and imagine what would this be for me, that it may not be yet, but becomes part of the possibilities to develop what the market is. So it isn't just a PR name or a brand, it becomes an engagement process. So the depth of presenting that as an option becomes sort of an open bordered brainstorming process where we all can participate and more people can participate. And I just want to kind of expand that a little bit, and it becomes an engagement accelerator.
Thank you, Abe, for that explanation. That's helpful. Angela?
Thank you, Catherine. Lori, could you, I don't know how quickly y'all want to rename this, but if you could send that out on the text platform and also in the newsletter, and maybe on your social media, and we can all share it that way and people can send information back to you. Or the other thing is, when you're there in August, you could ask people when they're there, what would you name this area? And maybe that would help. Again, I don't know how quickly you want to do this, but then you can also put it out to the schools, Garden Place Academy, Swansea, and Bruce Randolph, and see if any of our youth have ideas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will find out what that next step will be, but I think those are great ideas. And, the fact that we have that text platform and we have a pretty great, we've got Gina that manages our Facebook, and she has been great with sharing that information. So I will collectively say that those are great suggestions, and let me talk with the team to see how quickly, because our goal was to move it, to do it pretty quickly, because we have to start printing some signs, and we really don't want to go into having it called the People's Market, so people get set on that name, because our goal is to move it pretty quickly. But I think the text platform might be a really great idea to get that going pretty quickly.
Can you maybe do like a fun thing with the next flyer and you say like the market with an asterisk, like announce that you're looking for the name? So you can make something fun out of it. And just take like the people's out of it, you say the market.
Like the
Looking for the
line,
name.
line market.
Yeah,
Pick our
That's a
name
great-
now, yeah.
Yes.
that's a great
I'm
idea.
not a designer, but I'm like, that could solve both problems.
The market of the riverfront.
That'll buy some time for a pretty.
I second that motion.
Yeah, that's
You could
a,
buy
that's a really,
some here.
that's a great suggestion. Thank you, Eduardo.
So the suggestion right now is that the three that I said before, and then the fourth suggestion is that we just leave it blank in the coming month and let the flyer be the ballot, saying write in what you think the name is. And then, okay, so of those, the first one, now I can't even remember what I suggested, but the first three were. So the first one was to, help me somebody here.
Well, just pick something that's from the community, something that's in the, like, honoring the indigenous folks and the people, and then, like Sandra said something about something Spanish speaking. for
Spanish speaking. Oh, the other one, the third one was, a naming contest that AE, and the fourth one is, doing a blank and let that be the ballot. So it's the blank market for this point. There's 4 suggestions. Are you,
The only
would you like
thing-
another
can
suggestion?
I just chime in from the marketing standpoint? One thing that we've been really struggling with is we just really want to identify a name ASAP so that we can print signs, we can print flyers, and then we don't have to expend unnecessary dollars kind of duplicating these efforts the following month. So we were really hoping to identify just one name that we could move forward with. The idea is that these markets will continue through the fall. And if we can get in a great position with them, we'd like to continue them through the remainder of the year and potentially create this as something that happens year round. So I would love to be able to, have some consistency there and start building a brand around these markets so that it's something consistent that people know that they can come to every second Saturday. And knowing that we have our partners at CSU Square also doing some programming at that same time and so forth. So that's the only challenge from a marketing perspective.
Could you announce that you'll be doing a contest for next year?
Sure.
We
kind
can
of
have something to
with-
build up to and,
Sure.
choose one of these for
Until
now, and then
Mm-hmm.
that also creates a buzz about next year too.
So that would mean that it would, for the rest of this year, it would be the People's Market.
Oh, no.
With this
No.
corner over here, we just did some brainstorming. We were wondering what the original name of the plat was. Because that would be more of an indigenous name, plus it's on the riverfront. And it was the Nebraska or Nebraska,
Nebraska, this means flat water.
which would be tying in a lot of the things that have been brought up as priorities. Just a suggestion, throwing that out there.
You said Nebraska?
It's, and then that's,
Ibraskier.
Nice. It's a great.
Well, yeah, because it starts in Nebraska.
It flows to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Well, it means flat water in.
for the flatwater market.
Flatwater, that's cool.
We've been trying to stay clear of like anything identifying the riverfront because they might not always be on the river.
But it still is on the area.
Sure.
that it
No, I
is,
love
and
that
that's
name.
such
I
a
was
source
just
of
saying
life.
we were going to do it specifically. We thought of the idea of doing a riverfront, just calling it the riverfront market.
But I think considering like to dive deeper into it, it's really a source of life. Like that river is something that's why people have moved here. It's
That's why the
a source
industry
of
is here.
income and industry and everything. And you're not saying it's the riverfront market, like you could move it to downtown and it would still have that same meaning and it would still honor this exact location.
Yeah,
Just a
I
consideration.
love that name suggestion.
Because the Platte River is just like right by here. Everybody in this whole region knows about Platte River. And its importance. Okay, so, I'm trying not to remember my own memory here. So now we have, another one is the Flat River Market, is a suggestion that's come up. We also have the contest, we also have Indigenous, honoring an Indigenous or, Hispanic cultural name, and anything that would just sort of come out of this list, and then, I think I got them all for contest, Indigenous or this Hispanic, any of this, or a naming contest of some sort with for the next month. Sandra?
So we will have like a month to think about a name with what Jenna was saying with the marketing part. that
Which
they-
she would
they need
appreciate
to-
it, she would appreciate it if we could do it even tonight.
Yeah.
Because the cost of, there's a money cost that she's considering because of the material that has to be printed. And once you print it, then you have it set, the template set, so.
And I think equally as important, sorry, Steve, is just that we want this to be something consistent for both GES community members and everyone Denver Metro wide. So we want to just create a name that will be recognized easily and consistent, you know, I would hate to. That is such a great place. I don't know what that is. But yeah, we would love to just move forward with one name so that it's not changing a lot. That way we can build some momentum around it and get some brand
That
recognition.
makes sense. I really like the idea of an Indigenous name, but I don't, that would have to come from Indigenous people.
Right,
Right.
absolutely.
You guys can't choose that. We can't
Right.
choose that.
Right.
So I was gonna just
But I
suggest
get you need a name.
Yeah.
that we could, maybe we pick two names tonight. One could be this idea of the flat water,
Flat River.
those flat water market, right?
Yeah.
And that's just what the
Flat water.
Nebraska.
Flat water.
Yeah.
It would-
Flat water.
Flat water, that's what it translates to. I looked it up. We could ask Ernest House, he's on our board of directors. If he thinks that that is an okay name, or that we should not use that name because it may have some other connotation that we're just unaware of.
Good point.
And then we would have a secondary name coming out that we could default to. So
Well-
we do want to get to a name.
I'm just looking on there here and it says that buffalo used to wade in this water quite frequently, and then of course they were slaughtered, but to remember them, it could be Buffalo Market. The buffalo were here, the buffalo were here. That's less offensive, I think, to just people. Yeah.
CSU
I don't know.
prefer that you had the land market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on to the things you killed.
How about this? I'll go, okay.
What if we call it El Mercado GES? GES. Or something GES.
How do you spell that?
El Mercado is the market. En
Ah,
Spanish.
mercado.
Mercado. The market, o sea, en español.
I like that.
Was there anything like that already in town?
There's a whole grocery store chain named after.
En GES?
No, just like.
Yeah, but we're naming it El Mercado GES. Like in Mexico, there's a bunch of mercados. In every
Sure.
neighborhood, so it's not one mercado, like. There's El Mercado GES or GES Mercado.
Obviously, it's not my place to say that, but I also might insinuate that it's being run by GS
Or endorsed, I
or
agree.
yours.
I agree that that's a little problem, it can be problematic. And we can co-opt it again, yeah. I agree. Mercado,
You guys might.
This isn't the neighborhood.
right.
It is, we're in Elyria.
But isn't it part of the neighborhood?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm saying that could be a place where you might have some food of people not wanting to be named that,
I think,
would be my guess.
I think that that's accurate.
Yeah.
Are there any names here and or the Platte River or?
I like
I
market
see
at the
Angela
center
with your
too.
hand up.
Did I hear my name?
I just was saying that I saw that you had your hand up.
Oh, Catherine, is it okay that I talk?
Yes, you may. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Lee. When I want to exercise caution and when we're talking about the indigenous peoples, when I was part of the naming library committee for Bob Ragland, we actually brought up some names and those names had to be given to the Denver Indian Center and some other places for them to say if it was okay. And all the suggestions we made came back and the answer was no to all of them. Also, the other part, I agree. I would not want GES to be used for that market. You all know, I don't go on the campus because of my own belief system, which I won't go into, but you all know what it is anyway. So I would not appreciate that the 3 neighborhoods would have to say that that's their mercado because that's not mine. Yeah, and I think Lori, I texted you one market at the Platte or South Platte. So that's all. Thank you very much, Lee and Catherine.
Market at the center.
I like market at the center.
Can I add something too?
Can you put the, because I can't see anybody.
Okay, sorry. I just,
Lee.
for some reason, I don't have the option to raise my hand, so apologies, I'm not trying to interrupt. I do understand the urgency, but I also feel I get that, but also unfortunately, authentic community engagement, if this is what you're looking for on a name, does not always move quickly. So I think it's really up to you to decide, like, if time is of the essence and you need to decide tonight. I really am personally uncomfortable with you coming back and saying that you asked the community, though. If you come back and later say that you asked the community to name this, because the people that are in this room are not the community. Like, this is not a community engagement in that there is a few people in this room from the community. But if you are really honestly wanting community engagement on the name, it is going to have to wait. So, I mean, it's your choice. I'm just saying.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah, these are.
What about maybe something like the Confluence Market? I know Confluence is sort of like we'll talk about it. That's kind of the center idea. But
The Confluence is the one that's up by REI.
there's another market
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
It still doesn't change.
Market of November.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify that this wasn't, Lee, to your point. To your point, it wasn't meant to be a community engagement. It wasn't meant to be that we went out and asked the community. As I understand, my assignment was to get some just advice from you all on what we should do or what the center should do, moving forward with the name, given that it was a tight timeline. And I know Jenna and Lori wanted to get back because Jennifer had brought it up and it was a good suggestion to really, to say, okay, we need to change the name and a commitment from Jenna to change the name. But there is a tight timeline and certainly we wouldn't go out, to Lee's point, saying that we got community input or broad community input. But the CAC is an advisory group to the center, and the center has asked for input from this committee to give some suggestions or come to some sort of strong suggestion for a particular name.
Okay. I'm more comfortable that the market be attached to the National Western Center than to my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I would really like if we went with number 2, market at the center.
I can see that point too.
But this is your market. And I really appreciate you heard us. And I do appreciate that, and that's really important, and I think perhaps this is your decision.
No, yeah, I think that's great.
And thank you very much for bringing up the yes.
I guess just not people's market would be, that's the community.
Yes, and we're responding to that. So, I'm hearing that at least for 3 or 4 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people here, are nodding their heads yes for market at the center. Is there anybody in the Zoom rooms? If you could take that down for me, Alexi. You can't get that down. There we go. Is there anybody in the Zoom room who does not agree, or at least is really uncomfortable with the title of market at the center? AE.
Well, I would characterize it as not agree or as uncomfortable. I just want to say that I feel like it is seeding. It is seeding something in terms of the evolution of neighborhoods based, like in neighborhood markets. I understand. I kind of want to. I want to continue to hope for sort of a retrofitting of a relationship so that the National Western Center campus land in general, project in general, is more is brought back into, and maybe this is a hopeless cause, but is brought back into the stronger direct enrichment of the neighborhoods in general. And I also feel, so anyway, I have some reservations, but I also I'll stand down with calling it market at the center. I think it kind of seeds something that I don't think would be a good thing to seed. So anyway, seed by meaning, I don't even, CEDE or however you spell, not SEED, however you spell that. So anyway, I'll just make that comment, but this is not a life or death situation here. So I'll just add that to the discussion.
Thank you. I'll sort of have you as a sort of neutral position. Is that okay?
Neutral is not the right word. You're not going to be able to categorize it. I just feel the discussion,
Okay.
We need to be aware in this discussion that this is kind of a passive consensus process that I'm not real comfortable with, and I expressed it at the time it was put in place.
Right.
So I want to keep this discussion holistic and not categorical.
Thank you, AE. Anybody else have comment on market at the center? Again, we're only seeking advice. This is not, we're not seeking full community-wide engagement on this. Thank you, Lee, for bringing that out and clarifying it for us. Can I get just a general head nod from everybody on market at the center, that seems like of the names the best? Yes? Thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. Anybody strongly object?
I look forward to a robust discussion as these things evolve.
Look forward to it too. Okay, there you go. Thank you for asking for our advice. Market at the center.
Lori had just one more slide, or she had promised folks the QR code if anyone is interested in signing up for our text platform or our newsletter. You can scan this QR code either on the screen if you're in the room, or if you're online, you can do the same just from your computer screen. Or you can email Lori with your contact information and we'd be happy to sign you up for either one of these platforms.
Okay. Any other community, are there community updates that other members of the CAC would like to share?
I have a community update for the Global Rec Center. This Saturday, it's June 28th, we're having our first summer concert series. So we hold a summer concert every year, usually June, July, and August. So our first one is this Saturday, and it is from 12 to 4. So we hope everybody comes through. We have a bunch of local artists, as well as we're going to be providing food, a bunch of fun activities for the kids, and just a whole bunch of fun with your community.
Thank you, Christina. Anybody else? Yes, Armando?
You're on mute, Armando.
You're on mute.
Just like to remind everybody that UCAN is going to be over at Garden Place July 22nd, painting the playground. They just had new asphalt installed, and we need to do a walkthrough with the grounds maintenance called First Call. They're a vendor with the Denver Public Schools, so we'll get that underway, and then we'll finalize that date. But we're looking to paint the playground July 26th when the kids come back to school. They're ready to go with the fresh new look and give them some curb appeal and really provide some enthusiasm for their academic ventures going into the fall semester.
Any other community updates? We're now open for public comment. Would anybody like to?
One last thing. Do we know when the CIF will be publishing the amounts of the awards that were given out and the names of the organizations? And then what I'd like to see in there also is their mission or their focus, and see how we as residents can collaborate with those individuals that did get awarded funds, to see how we can help make a deeper impact into the neighborhood and make the whole community thrive and move forward. So if you could put that in the notes and maybe get it to Shannon Hoffman, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
Shannon's
Armando,
not
there
in
was
the-
it was announced at the last CAC meeting, there was a celebration. I think that was the 20th over at Johnson Rec, and it was posted in flyers all over the place that had the recipients there. I believe they've been up on the website that we put in the chat last CAC meeting. The GS Community Investment Fund has been pretty widespread. Sorry you missed that, but it's been both of the phase 1 and phase 2 were published. I'm not part of the CIF. I just am taking advantage of one or two of the groups. And so it's been a pretty public process. So go back up on their website.
I understand that and get that, but I think there needs to be more than just a public announcement.
Oh, no, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It'd be nice to
But
see what the mission is and how we as residents can collaborate and how further have a deeper impact on the neighborhood. I mean, just to say that AE got 2,000 or 3,000, whatever it is.
I did not apply for any funds,
No,
Armando. Let's not create
I'm just using that.
misconceptions here. Please don't use it. Well, don't use bad examples.
Excuse me.
Well, I'm just using that as an example.
Okay, all right, thank
That's
you,
not-
thank you. No.
But the introduction to the projects are visible, Catherine. It's important that people know that there's.
I'm gonna
there's
ask
lots-
Angela to talk about it, because she's on the CIF. Thank you.
Great, Angela.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate that. Armando, I will give your information, your suggestions to the entire CIF at our next meeting on Monday. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, we're just trying to help. That's all.
Okay. So, and Armando, there's also,
He said, can I finish
You're
up,
breaking up.
Armando, before you join in? Am I allowed to finish speaking? Because I can tell everybody
Yes,
right
you-
now what we.
yeah, no, you're
what was
breaking
funded.
up. You're breaking up. Go ahead again, try again.
Okay, sorry. Live in Gloveville, that's what happened with Wi-Fi. So we had, let me look at my notes. We had 30 plus grants. 30 were all in Spanish. I don't know if people are aware that the CIF, the members, are not the ones who review. It is actually residents who apply to do the reviews. So 7 residents applied, and they are the ones who made the decisions. This is who was funded. There's about Anthony Mays is doing Heart of the Hood. It's a photo-based mural and storytelling project about GES. Untold Stories by Ernesto is development of a high-quality photo book, also about GES. Sabor Comentario, which is Sandra's group with culinary workshop. Let me get some spit so I can turn the page. Cross Community Coalition, our Dream Garden, which is going to provide childcare resources like toys and stuff that can go to various meetings. Like Zeke is there right now. He could have some toys right now in a meeting. The GES Tree Care Fellowship Program is going to providing maintenance for the trees like they did last year. The Green Dot Coalition is going to be transforming the highway planting beds along 10 city blocks in Globeville. Confluence, Colorado is going to be improving Lorraine Granado Park in Swansea. La Fresca is going to be contracting with local GS technology professionals to develop a website to provide educational and resources for local food systems. Ready to Roll Collective is a local auto body shop, is going to repair donated and abandoned vehicles and gift them to families in need. Salud y Armonía is a 12-week workshop program that helps participants manage stress and depression. Project Angel Heart, once again, will be preparing meals to people in GES. All American Construction, which is Milo, will once again be helping people fix up their homes. Alasi Yoga is exactly that, yoga classes. Swansea Safe Cycle, which is Chad, will continue with his biking. Birdseed Collective will be getting funding to help with their weekly Monday food distribution of box. The Abolition Garden will be expanding into a model that engages GES youth in food justice. Culture expands for the Capuli, Coloraxan, Quetzalcoatl Healing Summit, and La Piñata is going to be supporting GES families through cultural and linguistic programs for GES families. Also, it's also been put on our website if anybody wants to go there and look. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And also in the chat is the website link for cycle 2. Thank you, Angela. Thank you. Now I'm gonna open up for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? Nola, did you, or is that just a thumbs up for the? Yeah, okay, just thumbs up for the report on CIF. Okay, anything else? Okay, I'm about ready to give you 7 minutes back of your life.
There is an
thank you.
opportunity. There is an opportunity to go outside, and Compost Colorado is having a small reception at their space. If you would like to stop by and see the Compost Colorado team.
Thank you, Lori. All right, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you.